All right, what's up there, YouTube? Good morning. So, this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole idea of a camera being professional or not being professional. And this whole thing, well, this camera's not professional or this camera is professional or, you can't. This camera has a mode dial. It's only got one mode dial. It doesn't have a round eye cup, so it's not professional. That's a consumer camera. Even Nikon said that the camera isn't professional. It's not what they said. It's not. You're taking it out of context. It's not what they said. Basically what happened was Nikon came forward and said when they started making the Z series, it wasn't aimed at professionals. But as they made it, when they made it, it was really good, like it was professional quality camera. That's it. They didn't say it's not a professional camera. They didn't say it's the part of their consumer cameras. They didn't say it's whatever. They said that it wasn't originally aimed at professionals. In other words, they didn't say, let's make a D5 version. D5 is their professional camera, right? So let's look at their cameras for just a minute. You got the D3200 and the D5200, 5300, whatever. You got the little, first you start with little point and shoots, the little pocketable point and shoot cameras, which I don't even know if they make those things anymore. Then they have the DSLRs that are consumer grade that they sell. I call them consumer grade. It's consumer-ish. Consumer grade cameras are smaller. And then you go from there to the entry-level full-frame cameras, which are still have the same consumer-style dials on them. Doesn't make it a consumer camera. It makes it a camera with consumer-style dials. So, for instance, this camera right here, Nikon D600. I bring this one out because I want to show something. A couple things. It's got this dial. See that dial there? The dial on top. It's just like the dial for the Z7. Just like the dial for the Z7, they have the same type of dial on top. It's got manual aperture shutter, program mode, full auto with the thing, scenes. You can go through scenes. I've never even used that. U1, U2. The new one has like 3 of those. C1, C2, C3, or whatever. I think I can't even remember. I always leave mine in manual anyway, manual or aperture, and then it's got the little dial underneath that you push this and change the shutter thing like that. It's got a little separate 2-stage dial, but the new camera has just a single stage dial, and you do the shutter continuous high, continuous low, those things in the menu. Because it has that, people like the angry photographer are like, oh, it's a consumer camera. So this would be considered a consumer camera, right? This would be a consumer. This is an entry-level full-frame camera. This very camera, I pulled this out because I've had this camera for, I don't know, 6 years, something like that. This camera's seen more work and more weddings than the angry photographer's cameras, I guarantee it. This thing's been through hundreds of weddings. I waited until the shutter count was real high. This camera had these cameras had a problem where they got oil on the sensor after so many shutter releases. It would get oil on the sensor. It was a problem with the shutter in the D600. So they actually got sued. People sued Nikon over it. There was a big class action lawsuit, and Nikon settled it and said, okay, here's what we'll do. If there's anything happens to your camera, if you see oil on the sensor in your images, send the camera in. We'll clean it. For the life of the camera, we'll clean it for free. If that doesn't resolve it, if you see it again, we'll replace the shutter. If it does it a third time, if you have to send it a third time, we'll replace the camera with a D610 or whatever the equivalent one is for the life of the camera. That's customer service to me. That's so what I did was I waited until I started seeing it, but only in like extreme circumstances, like a bright sky, high ISO, something like that. If I was shooting a lot of single color sky, which is very rare, usually it's got clouds, or high ISO like nighttime sky photography, I would see the splotches, and I thought I fixed them in Lightroom just with the image removal, the spot removal tool. Got rid of some of them, the big ones, and the little ones were so small you couldn't see it. But I did that for a while, and then I thought, okay, this thing's got how many 200,000 shots on it, so I'm gonna send it in. And I sent it in, and they replaced the shutter for me like last year. So it's basically a new camera. So I'm still using the same consumer camera for weddings. And honestly, when I'm shooting video, this thing shot so much video, I honestly, I don't know. It's for years. You can go back to my Vimeo channel for 4 or 5 years ago and see videos from this camera that I shot on that camera. It only shoots HD, but you can see videos on that camera. It's still, I bring it today. Even today, I bring this camera to weddings, and I put it with a 70-200 facing the groom, and then it's got 2 card slots, but I use the second card slot for photography just to put JPEGs on it, but I don't really need it for a backup. I have it as a backup because it's smart to have it, but when I shoot video, I only shoot on one card. So I don't shoot video on both cards, redundancy. I don't. No, I don't know anybody that does. Okay, so here's another example. This little camera here. So Panasonic Lumix G85. I wouldn't shoot a wedding photography with this, but I shoot video with it. You've seen the video, 4K video. It's basically a baby GH5. It's got the same image body stabilization as the GH5. This thing, you can hand hold it. It looks beautiful. Almost as good as the GH5. I've noticed the GH5 has a little bit better than this, but this is almost as good as the GH5. It's better than the GH4 was. The in-body, because it does have in-body stabilization. But this camera right here, this little dude right here, this little camera, 1 card slot, 1 single card slot, consumer camera. You consider this the consumer version, the GH5 would be the more professional camera. But guess what? I still use it. This camera, I've used the living crap out of this one. This will be my back camera in a ceremony at the back of the church, and I'll leave it wide, shooting 4K so I can zoom in a little bit as they go down the aisle and stuff. Then I'll have the D600 or D750. I had a D750, but I sold it. I have the D600. Yeah, I had a D750, sold it, because I still had the D600, and it's a great camera, and it does what I need. So I had the D600 pointed at the groom, and then I'll have the D850 pointed at the bride, and then I'll have this in the back. Now see, here's your dilemma. Think about it from my perspective, okay? You can if you want to, but from my perspective, I'm shooting photos with this camera, and the photos are absolutely, they're fine. I will continue to shoot photos with this camera. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the 24 megapixel photos from this camera, because the lens is more important than the sensor and the thing. It shoots plenty fast. It focuses fast enough for a wedding, outdoor, and good light. It's fine. All right, shoot photos with a D850, but the D850 shoots 4K video. So the D850 shoots 4K video. This camera shoots 1080p, 24p. That's it. No 60, nothing else. 24p. I really didn't need 4K 60p as much as I would need another 4K camera. So basically, if I'm already shooting photos on 2 cameras, and they're both Nikons, and one of them shoots 4K video, a good upgrade path, rather than buying a GH5 to replace this, because the only thing I'm gaining with the GH5 is better video, but the video on this is pretty dang good. It's almost the same as the GH5. It's basically the same sensor. I'm getting tons of these stupid Notifications over in the corner of my screen is driving me crazy. All right. If I'm using one Panasonic for video, which it's fine as a backup camera in the back of the church for a wide shot, and I already have one 4K DSLR shooting video of the bride's face, what I really want to do is exchange this camera for one that shoots 4K, so that I'll have 3 cameras that shoot 4K. What I want is another camera like this camera, but one that shoots 4K, right? So my solution, my perfect situation for somebody like me who shoots video, who shoots photos, and who already has 2 Nikon cameras and shoots with Nikon, I wouldn't get a Panasonic GH5 because the photos are not going to be anywhere near as good as on the D850 or even on this D600. They're not. They're not as good. And I've shot with it and I've compared the photos side by side. The D600 just blows away the GH5 for photos. GH5 is good for photos, but it's not the same quality as the 24 megapixel D600. Not even as good as that old camera. So if I have 2 choices, my 2 choices are upgrade to another Panasonic because I want to match cameras, right? Or upgrade to the Z6. That way I have a 46 megapixel monster D850 for shooting, you know, large or super fast shutter or anything that I need for, you know, fast action, really fast thing. And a mirrorless camera like this one. This is mirrorless. And a mirrorless camera like this, but one that shoots great photos that will match the photos on the D850. Or at least on the D600. They just have to match these photos, and they're better. I guarantee the Z6 shoots better photos than this. And it's old, and I still use it professionally. See, here's the thing. You get all these YouTube vloggers on here. You get all these YouTube vloggers on here acting like they're such great professionals. They do, all they do is professional work all the time. If they're uploading videos every day for YouTube, they're not professional photographers. They're YouTube vloggers. They're getting paid from YouTube. They're posting videos on YouTube to make money on YouTube. That's their income, right? So who are you going to trust more? Somebody that shoots photos and videos? You can look back through my videos, scroll down, go through my videos, click videos under my subscription, and look back through the years and see the videos that I posted, tutorials on Premiere, and I'm shooting a wedding in there. Videos about the cameras and shooting weddings. I've been shooting weddings for all this time, not just occasionally, all the time. I shoot the weddings all the time. So I shoot weddings professionally. My professional job isn't to get on here and talk about cameras. I like to do that because that's the stuff that I shoot. That's what I use to shoot weddings with, is my cameras. But I actually shoot weddings. I shoot them. That's what I do. So for me, this professional, the best solution for me in my current situation with a D600 and a D850 and a Panasonic as a third backup camera that I can use for vlogging or whatever, that's a great little camera. It's a cheap camera. It's cheap enough where it doesn't really matter. I could use that for whatever. I could hand that to a second shooter and let them just go shoot some video or something and get great footage that's 4K and it's focused and it's fine. Perfect solution for somebody like me is to replace this camera, make this camera a backup photography camera. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to get rid of the D600. It's got a brand new shutter in it. Why would I? It's a brand new camera, basically. Keep that camera, but get a Z6. So I've got a 24 megapixel, super faster, higher frames per second, and continuous than the Z7. Better 4K video, because I obviously shoot video. There's videos you can see, years and years of video that I've posted on YouTube and on Vimeo, on my Vimeo page, of weddings. So that's it. For me, the Z6 is a perfect thing, and it's professional. I would use it professionally for shooting video mostly, but also to have as a second camera for photos. as a second camera for photos. Would I make it my only photo camera and walk into a wedding with just a single card slot, single body camera and start shooting a wedding? No, because I wouldn't shoot a wedding with one camera anyway. I would never walk into a wedding with just the D850. I wouldn't do it. And it has 2 card slots. You always have to have a backup. I have a strap that goes on me that straps across here, and I have 2 cameras on it. One with a wide lens, one with a 70-200. Boom. I'm going back and forth all the time, and I'll swap lenses on them. Boom, back and forth, because sometimes I'll want the D850 with the wide lens to get a nice wide shot of a whole group, or I'll have the D850 with 70-200 and have the D600 with a 24-70. So I think people need to worry more about what lenses they get and what they do with their cameras. Your professional camera is no such thing. There's no such thing as a professional camera. There's a professional grade camera. You could say professional grade, but the camera is not professional. The person using the camera is the professional. The camera is just a tool. There's no such thing as a professional camera. There's a professional grade camera. That means the quality is a little higher and it's, you know, a little bit more robust. You know, kind of like XQD is a professional grade card compared to SD. It's not that it's a professional card and SD isn't professional. You can use an SD card for professional work. I have for years. I've got SD cards in those cameras. Both of them. Been using them SD cards for years and never had a problem with them. So anyway, that's my little rant for this morning. I'm busy. I just bought an action camera. I'm waiting for it to come, like a GoPro. So you'll be getting a lot more footage. I bought a bicycle, and I put it together, and I made a time lapse with this camera. See, even like this, I made a time lapse with this, shooting raw with it. Made a little time lapse. It's the reason why I use this instead of the Nikon for the time lapse is this one's easier. I can just set the time, how long I want it to be. It tells me what time it's going to be up. I'll say, well, it's from 11 to 12. I'll do 1 hour time lapse. Take me about an hour to build the bike. Set it up, do the time lapse, boom. Start recording. Just let it roll. Let it go and start shooting photo. I do photo time lapses, and then it builds the movie in this camera so I can watch it immediately. But it also keeps all the JPEG, all the images, which is fantastic. This is a really cool time lapse camera, by the way. But I bought a little action camera to put on the handlebars. I've got another little video to make about these little. I got these things that go on the wheels for the bicycle. It's just a. You saw my bike videos where I'm riding, but. I'm making more of those because we're going to ride again this weekend, and I'll probably do another vlog riding. But I got these little lights that go on the wheels, on the spokes, and you put 2 of them on there, and it spins, and it looks like a circle. If you get enough, like I think I got to get maybe 2 more for each wheel. So it has 4. So when it spins, it looks like a circle. It looks like circles. Now it looks like little lights flashing, but you can have them flash and do all kind of stuff. It's really cool at nighttime. It was awesome riding with that. But I'm going to make a video. I'm going to make a whole bunch more vlogs. I'm going to make a whole bunch more videos. I bought an SD card for the action camera. I'm waiting for it to come in from China. It's a knockoff GoPro. The Firefly 8 SE or something it's called. It shoots 4K at 30 frames per second. Shoots 1080 at 120 frames per second, I think. So that's really cool. I'm going to do a bunch of videos with that. It has image stabilization and stuff in it. I just couldn't justify. It was $100. So $100. If I don't like it, or if I want to get a better one, I can get a better one and give it to my granddaughter. She would absolutely love that thing. So she can have the mounts and put it on her bike and ride around, and she can do vlogs and stuff. It's got a lapel mic and stuff with it. Anyway, I'll do a long review of it. I'll do a review of that because, you know, I did a review. I think it was like a year or 2 ago of an action camera that I used and it was somebody complained that it was kind of blurry and stuff. It wasn't that great. It was a cheap, like $50 action camera. This one's like $100. So suppose it's got a Sony sensor in it. It's supposed to be a whole lot nicer than you know, up there in the quality of the GoPro Hero 5 or 6 or whatever. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this, and talk to you later. Thanks, man. Subscribe and like. See ya.